All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. So this video is going to be about whether or not Ubisoft might have pulled a bait and switch and basically is telling the developers to reintroduce skill-based matchmaking or implement skill-based matchmaking / engagement optimized matchmaking in the upcoming XDefiant. Now, we don't know exactly when the release date of the game is, but I do believe that sometime by the end of this month that we will find out in terms of what is going on, because that was kind of like the deadline in terms of the quarterly earnings. So it's actually going to force the developers to at least give some sort of announcement of when we can expect the game. I don't know if they're going to say an exact release date, but there's going to be a significant update as far as that is concerned. The only question is what. However, thanks to my comment section, one of the things that one of you guys had mentioned was that there is definitely a possibility, and I'm paraphrasing here, there is definitely a possibility that Ubisoft is telling these devs to implement skill-based matchmaking into the game. And this could very well be the thing that they might be butting heads on in terms of developers and the higher ups at management, right? Because we know how that works. But I did one thing a little bit extra, though. Now, over the last few videos that we talked about this, I told you guys that I haven't really been familiar with Ubisoft, and every single bit of information that I've been getting in terms of the whole Ubisoft thing and their track record has been through you guys. Or every once in a while I might hear something through the grapevine, because I was mainly a Call of Duty guy, and I haven't really played too many Ubisoft games, to be honest, And it was only in recent times to where I had started playing a multitude of games that weren't just one type of genre, right? Well, I decided to do a little bit of a Google search when I was at work, and I redid the same Google search while recording this at home. And basically I Googled, why people hate Ubisoft, or why gamers hate Ubisoft. And I found this little Reddit post over here, or actually a bunch of them. And I'm going to read a few of them to you, and then we're going to kind of go from there. So we will be talking about the main subject, which is skill-based matchmaking, engagement optimized matchmaking. But there's a reason why I'm doing this part in terms of reading this subreddit or whatever to you guys. And I'll tell you as the picture starts to paint itself, right? All right, so the first guy over here says, microtransactions in full price games. All the games have been franchised are very similar to the ones that came before. Their games can be buggy and glitchy as well. They also seem to be on a mission to turn every game into a battle royale where they can charge extra for the best weapons and gear. When they released Rayman Legends, they were one of my favorite publishers. That game was excellent, but they're not the same company anymore. Okay, moving on to the next one. They make copy and paste games that are loaded with microtransactions / monetization. They release unfinished buggy games. They've downgraded multiple games from their announcements, and they have a history of mistreating employees. They make games cost $60 but are usually worth $30. They're a scummy company making cash grab games. Now, in that one in particular, the one thing that stood out to me more than anything else was they have a history of mistreating employees. Now, what does that sound like to you? What company does that sound like to you? What other company has a lot of that in common besides everything else that was just mentioned, right? Let's keep going over here. We've got Ken Kniff himself that basically says, because aside from the new noteworthy outliers, Child of Light doesn't get enough love, Ubisoft hasn't produced, developed, or published anything new or different in close to 10 years. They used to be pretty good at developing new IPs or taking risks. Now it's basically copy and paste. And that's just from a gamer's point of view. I'm not touching the behind the scenes stuff. Next one up, we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey was what broke me. Map full of boring, monotonous filler quests. I got tired after the first section. Then they purposely level gate content, slow and XP progression, then sell people XP boosters in a single player game. It's insane. That is still some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard. They release carbon copy sequel after sequel on IPs that got stale years ago. Next one up. They also have a history of mistreating their employees, and so far haven't done anything about it. Next, we've got, based on a quick Google search, they've been involved in a whole bunch of harassment scandals and workplace discrimination and racism. Next up, we've got probably Let's see. Your best bet is reskinning games that and selling them over the last decade. They just added like 2 more little improvements in each game. Far Cry 4, 5, and 6 is basically Far Cry 3. Same for Assassin's Creeds. Edit. You guys want an answer? I'm not going to argue with you guys. I know that a lot of people here are fans of Far Cry and Assassin's Creed games. Nothing wrong with that. I'm one of them too. But it's just getting a little repetitive for over the last decade. Now, this is where I'm going to stop with the Reddits. And I haven't clicked on this yet when I was at work, but I'm going to click on it here. So it says, if you actually want to know, here's a good article that sums it up. So I'm going into Looper over here, and this one is titled The Shady Side of Ubisoft. And this was published in 2020, so it's been quite a while. So I'm just going to read, I guess, some of this, I guess. Let's see. Over the last few decades, Ubisoft has grown from a small studio in France run by 5 brothers to one of the world's largest game publishers. The company scored an early success with Rayman, one of the best-selling games on the original PlayStation in the UK, and today it has a powerhouse franchises such as Assassin's Creed and Ghost Recon. Ubisoft has become an international organization with offices in Europe, Asia, and North America. Their Canadian campus, Ubisoft Montreal, is the largest development studio in the world. For better or worse, Ubisoft has made its mark in gaming community and helped craft experiences gamers expect today. However, like any success story in modern software world, Ubisoft has made a few questionable choices on their way to the top. The company's aggressive push to become a dominant force in the market has upset its share of critics, gamers, and industry cohorts. Here's the shady side of Ubisoft. So the first one is, well, impossible unlocks. The business model of content behind either game purchases or long grinds has attracted negative attention across the gaming industry. Ubisoft is no stranger to the tactic that came under fire. One Reddit user discovered that unlocking every cosmetic for Honor would take a casual player 2.5 years or $800. Does this, now I'm going to pause it here real quick. Does this sound familiar to you? I mean, my goodness, this is, yeah, this definitely sounds like something. But anyway, I mean, I could go on about this, but I don't know. I mean, I think, let me see here. What do we got here? We got the Assassin's Creed Unity disaster. Let's read that. One of Ubisoft's most visible missteps in recent years has been the disastrous launch of Assassin's Creed Unity, the 8th release of the flagship franchise following Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which had reinvigorated the series and arrived with significant problems that Ubisoft seems to know about well in advance. Bugs and glitches plagued the game and its release, including unsetting missing face error and rampant collision detection problems. Unity also shipped without promising female characters available for co-op, and creative director Alex Amencio stating that including them was simply too much work. The community might have forgiven all of this if it hadn't been apparent for Ubisoft was well aware of the game's shortcomings. When the company sent out copies of Assassin's Creed Unity to the press, it came with a review embargo condition. The embargo lasted until 12 hours after the game had become available in stores and on Steam, giving the appearance that the company anticipated terrible reviews and wanted to keep gamers from seeing them. Yeah, I mean, this sounds, the more I read about this shit about Ubisoft, the more it sounds like Activision. Oh my gosh, here's this next one over here. Yearly release schedules. What does that sound like? My goodness. In the 2010s, Ubisoft embraced a more aggressive release schedule for its biggest franchises that drew fire from fans, accusing them for rushing unfinished games out the door. Licensed sports games often received annual conditions where a regular release schedule aligns with the realities of the advancing seasons. Alternatively, blockbuster franchises like Call of Duty have multiple iterations that allow for game release schedules to occur every year. However, Ubisoft cranked out one of Assassin's Creed title over the last year from 2009 to 2016. Publisher pursued an equally aggressive schedule for games in their Tom Clancy license, such as Ghost Recon and Rainbow Six, as well as Far Cry games. Yeah, no shit. That makes sense. Let's see. While the schedule put a lot of content in fans' hands, it can dilute the franchise. No doubt about it. In fact, after Ubisoft took a year off of Assassin's Creed franchise for the first time in 7 years, the next title was praised as one of the series' best. Ubisoft have stated that they intend to back away from annual releases to pursue games as a service strategy. Oh boy. Although this approach has its share of detractors as well. Let's see. The next one is about misleading trailers. And let's see. Another one is about lack of server support. And then visual downgrades. I mean, I think that says, let's see. Oh, invasive piracy protection. Let's see. What else can we get? Formula sharing and overuse between franchises. Yeah, pretty much everything that... My goodness, what is up with this? The sirens going off everywhere. This always happens when I record. Go figure. Let's see. What else? Executive misconduct accusations. What? This is literally a copy and paste of what's going on with Activision, except they're not called Activision. They're called Ubisoft. So, with that being said, would it make sense for them to pull something shady and basically say to Mark Rubin, yeah, Mark, yeah, I know you said there's no skill-based matchmaking in pubs, but we're going to have to force you to put skill-based matchmaking in pubs. And another thing is that Mark Rubin has been actually pretty damn silent, the most silent he's ever been ever since this game has been kind of announced or whatnot, for as far as I can remember at least. So, I don't know, man. If that is the case, man, I wouldn't be too surprised if Mark Rubin actually just left XDefiant, just completely like left. But at the same time, I don't know if there's contractual obligations or if there's any contracts or whatnot that are involved. So I don't know if there's like a clause that would prevent him from leaving or whatnot. I don't know. But yeah, what do you guys think? At the end of the day, after reading all this, I mean, granted, I haven't read everything, but I think I've said enough between the subreddit and a few of the articles or pieces of this article that I read here. Like, it just makes sense to me. These guys are no different than Activision if you really look at it. So it's like, what the hell? So it's like, are we really like expecting, like, I don't know. If anybody can inform me about like some of the positives over the last few years, if there are any, down in the comment section below, I would really, really love to know. But with that being said, guys, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be 100% real with you. I'm not as positive or hopeful as I used to be about XDefiant anymore. And I see things from a much clearer picture now that I've seen this and I'm reading this to you as I'm recording this. I totally see where all of you guys are coming from when you say, hey, Ubisoft's a problem, hey this, hey that. I guess in the back of my mind, I was like, there's no way they could be as bad as Activision. But according to what I've just read here over the last, God knows how many minutes I've been recording now, it just makes absolute sense. It's like, no wonder you guys are not expecting too much of improvement, if at all, with XDefiant. And again, the main seller behind the game has been the fact that there's no SBMM. But guess what? They can pull a bait and switch, which is out of Mark Rubin's hands. And that very well may be, I'm not saying it is, but it very well may be the reason why they're butting heads, right? And maybe by the end of this month or so, when Tom Henderson kind of clarifies all the stuff that has been laid in front of him in terms of what he's been told, you know, when he gets all the pieces of the puzzle together, so to speak, hopefully he can elaborate on specifics. Because if it ends up being SBMM / EOMM, then there really is no reason to really get invested in XDefiant unless you want to be like, I don't know, unless you enjoy that sort of thing, or unless you want to be like a full-time pro XDefiant gamer or something like that. I mean, and I've said it time and time again, guys. You know, that's XDefiant's biggest selling point, believe it or not, is the fact that there's no SBMM. Even if the game wasn't an arcade shooter that was similar to COD, the fact that there would be no SBMM would still be the main, you know, selling point of that game. So, from a business perspective, as far as the publishers see, would it be advantageous for them to pull a bait and switch? Yeah, it would financially. Yeah, pain in the ass for the devs, but not so much for the publisher, because all they care about is the bottom dollar. But anyway, with that being said, guys, let me know down in the comment section what you believe. Let me know, do you believe that Ubisoft is forcing the devs to, you know, put SBMM into the game in pubs, or do you guys think it's something else? With that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.